The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subarai Productions. Hello everyone!
Yes!
Welcome back to another episode of Tokucast Reviews, episode number 185. We are back from break. Marcus and Jacob here to discuss Turboranger. I, once again, almost completely forgot the name of the show.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Unfortunately, we do have to start out with some bad news. Ramirez Kiryusayan from Kyoryuger unfortunately passed away this past week.
Oh, that's sad.
Colon cancer, so make sure you do go to the doctors, get your checkups and everything. I do want to apologize for going on break for as long as we did. Not expected, but things happen.
That they did.
And unfortunately, things will continue to happen with this show, Turboranger. I want to talk about the opening first. Hey, look, a thing I liked.
Oh, really? You like the opening?
Yeah, really enough.
Wow. Did you feel like the opening and the ending could have been switched?
I never listened to this ending.
I feel like the ending, it's pretty much the same. I feel like you could have switched them around.
I listened to it like once, and I was just like, okay, I guess. But for some reason, the opening did it for me.
Well, okay.
And I have no idea why.
I didn't care for this one, but I didn't hate it.
Yes, the first of our actual Heisei shows.
The first Heisei one, yes.
Man, what a way to start.
On my favorite movie podcast, the Blank Check podcast, Blank Check with Griffin and David, there is a term they have used often, which is movies that don't exist. And not to say movies that are like really obscure that no one has ever heard of. This is a movie that came out, made, some money. Sometimes like it made a little bit of money.
It made $1 on a budget of 12.
Made like maybe 200 million worldwide. But it is a movie that
no one remembers.
No one remembers. Like, truly has been obliterated from any semblance of our consciousness. Turboranger,
like Blank Check,
is very much a show that doesn't exist. My brain kept forgetting what the name of this show was as I was watching it. And it was like, what am I watching? Oh yeah, Flashman. No, that's not this. That's not the show. That was a show that was another one.
That was a show that was good.
Turboranger is
a show.
That
exists.
Yeah,
from 1989 to 1990.
You say it exists, but I don't believe you. I watched it and I don't believe you.
After Live Man,
this one came directly after Live Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
After this is Hirohisa Soda's downturn. I mean, massive downturn. Between this and 5 Man, we are in for a trip. But this show got parodied and became something better. Because the premise of this show with fairies and car magic didn't congeal. It's really like oil and water.
So the notion in Tokusatsu, not just Super Sentai, but I would say Kamen Rider as well, where you have
Ultraman.
Yeah, but where you have science and technology that the heroes are using to fight magic. And it kind of feels like that's what they were going for again here. But our themes are so incongruous and so disparate that your brain never quite makes the connection.
Because the entire
You never feel like this is supposed to gel.
I remember years ago when I first started watching this.
Yeah.
I couldn't finish it because I was just like, what?
Okay, so kids in high school, they use cars to fight bad guys, and there's a fairy and... Huh?
To fight ancient yokai.
Yeah,
this show
to fight ancient yokai, we use cars.
Yeah.
And the power of youth.
This feels like a whole bunch of different ideas, and none of them meshed. That's the problem with this. In so many different ways. Like, you have the fairies, the cars, the yokai, the science. And I'm just like, you got too many things. Ignore 2 or 3 things. And that's why Car Ranger worked. It feels like we've gotten shows that have done the things that they want to do in this show better both before and after.
Okay, so after. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Mega Ranger. Were you thinking the same thing?
I was honestly about to say Car Ranger again.
Okay, but that works too. But Mega Ranger in terms of the high school theme. Car Ranger in terms of cars.
Yeah.
In terms of taking like this concept and just running away with it and being utterly silly.
Yeah, they knew how stupid it was. That's why they parodied this show in particular. It's also weird because the fact that we've gotten such a lack of characterization for any of the people in this show. I remember nobody. You got the red one. You got the black, the blue, the yellow, the girl.
Here is a way that I think the show really falters in terms of its characters.
Tanaya would have been great at describing the people for this show. Tanaya 7 from RPM.
Anywho, what the heck was I saying? You threw me off, dang it. Yeah. Okay, but the characters. I'm thinking about...
And no one's Scottish.
Yeah, sadly. In a show like Dawn Brothers,
yeah,
where we had so many scenes of the characters talking and getting to know each other and fleshing them out as characters and getting to know them.
Well...
Let me get to my point. In this show... This show is kind of like a crystallization of a lot of problems I have with Sentai from around this era, where we spend so little time on characterization, and we spend so much of it on the action. We have to jump into the action almost immediately.
Well, the reason I was hold on to that because of the fact that it's Soda, it's Hirohisa Soda, who wrote everything on Go Ranger up to 5-man as like the main writer.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a lot of like in Changeman, for example, you pretty much knew exactly who everybody was. In Live Man, you pretty much knew exactly who everybody was. And it's also coming directly off of Live Man, where it's just like we had such heavy characterization for the characters and the villains.
Yeah.
And then we come to this.
You come to this, and outside of the first episode where our heroes are called to action by a voice that only they can hear, which in itself, not a bad idea, but
I feel the headache.
The fact that it's like one of them is a baseball star, one of them is a track star, one of them is a swimming star, the other one is a gymnast star, the other one is student council president. They're all like already the best at their fields from different disciplines. Fair enough. The show could have used more high school. I think it could have used more high school to have our characters, especially if you come from if they came from more different backgrounds, different, disciplines and whatnot. I think you have such a way in to have I am the student council president. I have a guise with which I can gather us all together and we can discuss what has happened. We're all from, different sports teams, so we all bring a different side to us in battle.
The weirdest thing about this is it's like they wanted to do archetypes, but because of the fact that everybody's sort of squeaky clean as they are, and they didn't really do any...
Everyone is very... It's just very smooth. No rough edges.
This is sort of the problem with this sort of time frame where everybody's really stuck for the most part in their characterization. It took another 2 years for us to get a delinquent type person with Guy. And I know that's Inoue, but Inoue was also a writer in this show. Mm-hmm. But it's just the characters aren't memorable. They exist.
Yeah, they exist.
And that's it. You got the Boma and everything, and they're boring as hell. They're not interesting.
Some good designs, I think.
They could be interesting, I guess, in terms of their designs, but it's just I'm looking at this, and I wanted to just throw it away. You got the Wandering Boma, one of whom will go on to play a peacock in the show in about 3 years. 4. Dairanger. She was Kujaku here.
Yes. Well, her relationship with the other one is very similar because in that final episode where it's red string of fate, we are bound together.
They tried to bring that in. And
it's proto Daigo Kujaku.
But not nearly as interesting.
Yeah. In the same way that this is Proto Car Ranger, but not as interesting. Or Proto Mega Ranger, but not as interesting. Or after something like Live Man, where we have the school ties from that, but not as interesting.
It's weird because you got the delinquents in terms of the villains on that show. Mm-hmm. And it's just we got really good characterization and character dichotomy with Joe and Go and Mazinda and our Blue and Dr. Kemp and our Red, and I'm just
yes,
we had Green and Black are there. But we had so much in terms of, oh, this is juicy. That's why Live Man is still one of our favorites, because it's just like, oh man, the character dynamics are just so good. But in this show in particular, we got none of that. So we're sitting here looking at it like, man, remember we watched something good?
Well, you watch something like this and...
Remember when we watched Soul Brain?
Yes, I do.
Remember when we watched Live Man? That was 3 weeks ago before the show started.
But what was I going to say? All right, so you talk about watching something good. Something like Live Man, something like Car Ranger.
Something like Chain Man.
Something like Chain Man. Something that going forward in the genre, we see that there is a footprint that it has left.
Yeah.
We see things that it has carried over. Friggin' Car Ranger, Love After World Domination is that dynamic between Red and the villainess, but made into a romance show, and it's beautiful, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like that part carried forward into the year, 2022, whenever that show came out. And then you have Turbo Ranger, and
that was a direct inspiration for that show.
Yeah, and then you have Turbo Ranger, and it's, as I said, it doesn't exist. There's just nothing about this show that carries through. Because the only thing, again, like when you talk about Car Sentai, people think of Car Ranger.
Yeah, they legitimately don't talk about this. They think of Car Ranger,
or they think of RPM, or they think
Go
of
Onger,
yeah,
or they think of now Boom Boonger.
True, we just got another one, yeah.
Turbo Ranger is legitimately the one that's left in the dust, the fairy dust.
Now you could say
no
that. Let me get to my point. Sometimes you go back and you watch an older movie or an older show, and you feel like it's like, oh, I've seen this already before, because that was doing it first. In the case of Turbo Ranger, like, yeah, this is doing the car theme first. But in the case of something like, say, the original Godzilla doing that, you go back and you watch that and you're like, oh, this holds up marvelously well because of good writing and great use of effects at the time. And it's well shot, it's well directed, well acted. And then you go back to this and it's like, I've seen this done better later. I saw this done better before. Nothing about this carries over.
Just a couple of things.
It's a big nothing burger.
Just a couple of things, though. This is the first Sentai to use the word Ranger in the title, so that's great.
Good for you. A medal.
It was only super... they used the car thing because of the mini 4WD boom, which is like the toy cars that were really popular in Japan. At the time, I believe this is also where in Yakuza 0...
which I just started playing.
Amazing fucking game. It's where the Pocket Circuit Fighter. Like that's where this also, everything sort of comes along. The best mini game in any Yakuza series, by the way. Actually, it might just be the best mini game ever. I'll say it.
Does carry over to Infinite Wealth.
It's Pocket Circuit Fighter is peak. But yeah, this is just one of those things where I'm just like, as I was watching Turbo Ranger, I was wishing I was watching not Turbo Ranger. And it's weird.
It's never a good sign to wish you were watching something else.
Because I know going into 5-Man, it's going to end up being more of the same, where it's really boring again. But...
And again, they're all siblings in that, correct?
Yeah.
Which we got later in Go-Go 5.
Yeah.
And done better there.
But with 5-Man...
I haven't seen 5-Man yet, but I'm assuming at this point.
5-Man has things that last longer in Toku as a whole. The song that they end up singing, like one of the music episodes in 5-Man, shows up again in Deca Ranger.
Ah, interesting.
So it's like it constantly goes along. That song shows up every couple of years. From Turbo Ranger, I legitimately don't think they've shown anything. It's shown up on the wall in Boom Boonger with the rest of the Car Sentai, and that's it. Turbo Ranger is here, and we wish it wasn't. I wish it was something far more interesting, and I know people did not like this.
What can you do? I think we've said our piece, unless you have anything to add.
No, this is not a show that I want to talk about anymore.
Okay.
However, next time we will be doing Ultraman Arc, because that will be ending by the time, I believe. Arc will be next. After that, we'll be doing some movies. Just going to doing a couple of small things. If only because immediately after that review, the next review that we actively will be doing, will be on the first episode of Goes User. And it'll be time to review Boom Boonger.
Yeah.
Which I'm very excited about, because I really like the show. Unlike Turboranger.
I'm excited to watch it.
I'm excited for our next Sentai to be a much better
I'm excited because both Ultraman Arc and Boon Boonger from our first impressions I was very positive on. So I am excited to watch the rest of them. And we shall see how they shake out.
Taya with his harem and Miro being over there. It's legitimately the theme of the show. Taya with his all-male harem and Miro just tagging along for the ride.
I'm here too.
She's like, I'm here to enjoy myself. And I'm like, you go, sis.
There you have it.
Yeah, let us know what you thought or didn't think about Turboranger in the comments below.
Please do.
Don't forget to join us all the things. We'll see you next time. I love that we come back on negatives. We come back on bland and negative. The Tokucast rating.
This is definitely the bland.
This is definitely
the bland.
This is definitely the Sentai of all time.
You heard it here first, folks.
It is the Sentai of all time. It certainly is a Sentai that aired from 1989 to 1990. It is the first Sentai of the Heisei era, and it has no other accolades to it. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.